Yesterday it was confirmed that Cork mother of two, Paula Canty, became the 271st woman to meet a violent death in this country since 1996. Nadine Lott is one of those women. She was brutally murdered by her former partner in her home in 2019. And I'm joined now by Nadine's mother, Claire. You're very welcome, Claire. And that's your other daughter there, Phoebe, beside you tonight. Can I ask you, what kind of a young woman was Nadine?
Nadine was, she was only 30. She was full of life. She was full of energy. She had, she was in a place that she wanted to be, all right? She was a very caring, very loving. She was at the centre of everything. She was at the centre of the organisation around family events, as she was with her families. She always was the person that people turned to for advice or to have those chats.
And right? I know you were very close.
We were extremely close, and the pictures that are up right now are the last vacation I had with Nadine. It was to celebrate her 30th birthday.
That was initially.
Her and I went to Rome for her birthday.
That was just October 2019?
That was October. So and less than 2 months later, we lost her.
I'm going to take you back before that now to when she began. She began dating Daniel Murtagh when she was in Australia. She was working in Australia. She became pregnant, came home here, and Daniel followed her home. What did you think about him when you met him first?
Well, one, we don't reference him by name. We reference him as the monster now. You know, at the time, he was Nadine's choice. We didn't know anything about him. You know, I know he was from Dublin, which is only an hour's drive from us, but we knew nothing about his family, nothing about his background, his history, his friends. I mean, we had no idea, but for me at that time, he was Nadine's choice, and I respected that. I respected my daughter's choice.
The relationship broke down, and it was only really after that that he began sending abusive messages.
The relationship broke down fairly soon after Nadine's daughter, Kaya, was born. Within about six months, the relationship had broken down. And after that, he started to, and it's only in hindsight I can see these things now, but we now look at situations where he was monitoring her every movement. We at the time thought he knew a lot about her. He knew a lot of when she was out on town with her friends. If she went out on a date and she was a single woman, she was entitled to go on a date, she would then start to receive abusive, now verbally abusive texts. And there were more texts that were trying to degrade her, to humiliate her than anything else. He also then tried to, so being the father of the child, there was an agreement around child maintenance, but he could never set up a bank account. Everything had to be done on his terms. He had to meet Nadine. He had to give it personally to Nadine. He invariably didn't, but everything had to be done around his terms. We just seen him as a little bit of selfish, self-centered. We thought he was very lazy. You know, there was just behaviours that we referred to, but not, at that time we didn't see anything as a flag.
Yeah, you didn't, like, not you, not anybody, not Nadine even.
Nadine.
So this realised the gravity of the situation she was in.
No, she didn't.
You asked her about it, didn't you? Something did.
So there was a time where Nadine contemplated maybe rekindling the relationship for the sake of her daughter. And I sat down with her and had a conversation, and I just said to her, honey, I would worry that because of who he is and how he is, I would worry that if you had another child and he had the inability to go out because you needed babysitting, because whatever, right, okay, that his wings were clipped a little bit, that he might hurt you. And she said, absolutely not. He would never He would never hurt me. I mean, she was 1,000,000% sure on that.
Okay, I'm going to bring you back now, if I can, to that night, the 13th of December in 2019. You went to bed that night not knowing that there was any problem.
No, we had been out that night with my family to celebrate. It was the first time we'd been out to celebrate my sister's birthday, and I left, Nadine was with me, and I left Nadine out. And when I got home, I had texted her and just said to her, "It's raining, honey. If you want me to give you a lift, just call me and I'll bring you home." I went to sleep. I had no idea.
And it was actually Phoebe that's there beside you now that woke you up with the worst possible news.
Yeah, I got a call about 4:30 from a girl I went to school with who just had rang me and said, in an awful panic, and it said, "Nadine has been stabbed." So obviously I was panicked. I went in and I woke Mum, but we never expected to go into what we went into. Like, I had visions of going into Nadine holding her abdomen. She'd been stabbed once, but that wasn't the case.
You obviously raced over to Nadine's apartment. And I don't want to ask you to go into any detail you don't want to, Claire, but you found the most horrific scene there.
When I walked in the door, I mean, straight away, it was a scene of a horror movie. There was glass. Her beautiful apartment, which she was very precious about, was absolutely destroyed. It was turned upside down. There was blood everywhere, but Nadine wasn't there. And Nadine was at the back of at the back of her apartment was her kitchen, and Nadine was in the back of the apartment on the floor.
Her daughter was there and witnessed what had happened.
Kai was there. Kai was right through. Kai was there and witnessed everything. So, you know, we have nightmares. We live with nightmares. We have, you know, the baggage that we carry isn't as heavy as the baggage that Kaya carries. She was there. She witnessed all of this.
You held Nadine's hand.
I did. She
was with you? Or were you waiting for the paramedics to come?
I lay down on the floor with her, and I talked to her. All right. I told her the words that I knew she'd want to hear, that I'm here, honey, it's okay. And that Kaya is safe now. Because Phoebe had gone to Kaya. And I said, Kaya's safe, I'm here with you. You're going to be okay, honey.
She died 4 days after that.
She did.
She was, as you say, 30 years old. How are you all doing now?
We get through. I mean, you wake up in the morning and it's, you know, a couple of seconds, you open your eyes, and then the realization is that you have to get through this day. Every day is just a day that you have to get through.
Her former partner was found guilty of murder. He's now serving a life sentence. And I know it's not easy, you know, to bring you through this, but you wanted to come here because you have a very strong message that you want to get out there for other people who may have a loved one, somebody they care about, at risk tonight.
And, you know, it's taken me till now, over the last year, to realise that Nadine was a victim of coercive control, or attempted coercive control. And when we, you know, I mean, I really didn't understand what coercive control was before this. And when I started to read up about it, it was all very much related to domestic abuse. It was part of a pattern where, you know, the perpetrator would, through his attempts on his target, to relinquish freedom from them, you know, and make them isolated, that they're very afraid. But Nadine was none of that, you know. And when we look back on his behaviours, we now see that he's abusive at texts, Okay, he's ongoing, he's monitoring of Nadine's movements. He's control over when he would see the child, and he used the leverage of Nadine's love for her daughter and Nadine wanting to do the right thing by her daughter and keep him, you know, have a relationship with her father. He used that, and you know, my mission now is to help others understand, and I'd love to see more education around coercive control both in the education system and within the legal system as well. So what are those red flags? How do you identify if coercive control is at play? And coercive control is very, very closely tied to domestic abuse, but coercive control it wasn't domestic abuse in our case, so coercive control should stand on its own within as an offence and have a penalty applied to it.
Okay. Claire, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming in to tell us that story and share Nadine's life and have a legacy for her, and Phoebe as well. Thank you so much.